For months, he was the most wanted man in Texas. News reports breathlessly covered a string of brazen daylight robberies, with tellers all describing the suspect as a handsome man. But police were chasing a ghost. He was a phantom who could walk into a bank, steal a fortune, and vanish without a trace. The FBI had no leads, no fingerprints, and only one unnerving description. They were hunting for the perfect, handsome man. But what if the face of the man they were hunting wasn't a face at all? In 2011, a chillingly consistent pattern of bank robberies started popping up across North Texas. From Dallas to Plano, a lone gunman was hitting banks with remarkable efficiency. The method was always the same. A calm, collected man would walk in, show a black semi-automatic handgun, present a clear plastic bag, and make his demands in a steady voice. He was specific, and he was serious. He wanted large bills and gave a stark warning. No die packs or trackers. I'll kill you if you put them in the bag. Every witness description was weirdly uniform. Tellers and customers all said he was a handsome man, but there was always something a little off. His skin seemed a bit too perfect, his features a little too generic. Still, he was a real suspect, a face for law enforcement to chase. The only problem? This man didn't seem to exist. As the robberies climbed past a half dozen, then into the double digits, the FBI and local police were grasping at straws. They had surveillance footage and eyewitnesses, but no fingerprints, no getaway cars, and zero viable leads. They were hunting a ghost who was getting richer by the minute. The media, and soon the FBI, gave him a name that fit the bizarre nature of the crimes: the Handsome Guy Bandit. What they didn't know was that the very thing they were using to identify him, his face, was the most brilliant part of his disguise. As the Handsome Guy Bandit continued his spree, the frustration inside law enforcement grew. How could one guy be so bold, hitting 11 different banks, yet leave absolutely no trace of his real identity? Investigators were stuck. They had a face, but it led nowhere. They were looking for a man who simply didn't show up in any database. The mystery of the bandit was as maddening as it was fascinating. The answer was something straight out of a Hollywood heist movie. The robber, Stephen Ray Milam, was using a hyper-realistic silicone mask. We're not talking about the cheap plastic masks from a costume shop. These are sophisticated movie-quality disguises made by special effects artists. The specific one Milam used, called the Handsome Guy, was sold by a company called SPFX Masks for around $800. It's made of flexible silicone that moves with the wearer's face, allowing for a surprising amount of expression. From a distance, or even up close to someone who isn't expecting it, the mask is incredibly deceptive. This mask was the key to his whole operation. It let him walk into a bank, stare right into security cameras, talk to witnesses, and then simply take off his face and become someone else entirely. The tellers who described a handsome guy were telling the truth, but they were describing a piece of silicone, not a person. This one clever tool turned Milam into a phantom, letting him commit crimes in plain sight while his true identity was completely hidden. The investigation wasn't just at a dead end, it was on the wrong road entirely. While police searched for a handsome man in his late 20s or 30s, the real culprit was a 44-year-old casket salesman. New Year's Eve, 2011. While most people were getting ready to celebrate, the Handsome Guy Bandit was prepping for his 11th robbery. Around 11:40 a.m., a man in a blue warm-up suit, a white cap, and that now infamous handsome face walked into the BBVA Compass Bank in Richardson, Texas. Showing his handgun, he took control, forcing the manager and several employees into the vault. One employee hit a panic alarm before being pushed inside. Milam repeated his chilling script, demanding hundreds, 50s and 20s, and warning against trackers. He then herded all the witnesses into a bathroom and gave a final order. Count to 500 and don't contact the police. He claimed he'd be listening to a police scanner. He was in the bank for 9 minutes. This time, however, things didn't go as planned. As Milam walked out, the flashing lights of a Richardson police car appeared. An officer, responding to the alarm, was driving right toward him. Milam's calm shattered. He raised his gun and fired at the squad car. One bullet blew through the windshield, showering the officer in glass. As the officer took cover, Milam fired twice more, hitting the car's doors. In his panic, he made a fatal mistake. He fled into the neighborhood on foot, and in his haste, he dropped everything: the gun, the clear bag stuffed with cash, and most importantly, the blue warm-up suit that held the key to his getaway car. Tucked away with the discarded items was the key to the whole investigation: the silicone mask. The handsome guy's face was finally in police custody. The ghost had slipped up, and the hunt for the man behind the mask was on. With the abandoned mask, clothes, and key fob, investigators had their first real breakthrough. The key belonged to a Volkswagen Jetta registered to a 44-year-old Richardson man named Stephen Ray Milam. Suddenly, the phantom had a name, but the man in the DMV photo looked nothing like the face that had haunted bank tellers. Milam was a middle-aged man, not the young, handsome figure from the security footage. A look into Milam's past revealed a complicated story. He was a casket salesman who ran a funeral business, a seemingly normal professional. But this wasn't his first run-in with the law. Milam had already served a federal prison sentence for a couple of bank robberies back in 2005. In those crimes, though, he hadn't used a mask. He did his time, was released in 2008, and seemed to be on a better path, even getting married and starting a business. For reasons we may never fully know, he returned to crime, this time with a much more sophisticated playbook. The mask allowed him to ramp up his activities, turning a short spree into 11 audacious heists. Prosecutors argued he was motivated by greed, pointing out he had 2 houses, 3 cars, and money in the bank. He wasn't financially desperate. In his own words to the court, Milam later confessed that his life had become a convoluted web of lies, and he had to win an Oscar every day to maintain his double life. He had a wife, a business, and every reason to stay straight, yet he chose to put on a mask and become the handsome guy bandit. After the botched Richardson robbery, Milam knew the gig was up. He fled, first to Austin and then eastbound, trying to get as far away as possible from the evidence he'd left behind. But now, the police knew exactly who they were looking for. An alert went out for Stephen Ray Milam, described as armed and dangerous. On the 3rd of January 2012, just 3 days after his last robbery, a deputy in Jackson County, Mississippi, ran the license plate of a car on Interstate 10. The system flagged the owner as Milam. When officers tried to pull him over, Milam floored it, starting a high-speed chase. Police tried to stop him with spike strips 3 separate times, but Milam swerved and avoided them each time. The chase only ended when the local sheriff, Mike Bird, took matters into his own hands. He pulled his vehicle alongside Milam's, aimed his pistol, and shot out the car's back tire. The car spun out, and it was all over.
Cornered and defeated, Milam tried to swallow a handful of pills in a last-ditch effort to escape justice. As he was pulled from the car, he vomited and told the arresting officers, "Call the FBI in Dallas. They'll know who I am. They're the ones looking for me." The reign of the handsome guy bandit was officially over.
In October 2012, Stephen Ray Milam pleaded guilty to 11 federal counts of bank robbery and was sentenced to 35 years in federal prison. In court, the judge remarked that Milam was lucky to be alive, since shooting at police officers usually has a much grimmer outcome. Milam himself said he was sorry, stating his abhorrent behavior had affected countless people and that he had prayed for the day he would be captured to stop the web of lies his life had become. The case of the handsome guy bandit is a wild story, but it's also an unsettling look at how technology can change the face of crime. It wasn't just about the money he stole. It was his method that was so shocking. His use of a commercially available, hyper-realistic mask opened up a strange new world of criminal disguise, proving it's possible for someone to be a ghost in plain sight. It leaves us with a tricky question. In a world where faces can be bought and worn like clothes, how can we ever be sure who we're really looking at? If you found this deep dive into criminal ingenuity fascinating, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more stories from the fringes of law and order. Let us know in the comments, what do you think is the most unbelievable part of this modern-day heist story?